At family dinner, I discovered the hidden truth behind my son-in-law's loser remark, an incredible night of revelation. The smell of home-cooked lasagna wafted through the air, curling around the cheerful decorations Sarah had put up for dinner. She glanced at the clock, each tick echoing like a countdown in her heart. The stakes felt high tonight. She was welcoming Emily's fiancé, Jake, into their home for the first time. Just as she set the table, a mix of anticipation and anxiety bubbled within her. Would he fit into their little family? As they gathered around the dinner table, laughter and stories flew, and the warmth made Sarah's heart swell. "So what's your strategy for the big engagement dinner?" Emily teased, her eyes sparkling. Jake, with an easy smile and boyish charm, promised he'd surprise everyone. Moments like these made Sarah proud of her daughter. Emily had worked hard, rising above the challenges of their past like the thorny divorce that had once threatened to uproot their lives. Yet as the lasagna was served and compliments filled the room, the atmosphere shifted. Between light-hearted jabs and gentle teasing, Jake casually mentioned a friend of Sarah's who had fallen on hard times. "Honestly, it's tough to watch someone flounder like that," he said, shrugging it off. "They could just try harder, right?" The word struck Sarah like a slap. Memories flooded back, the struggles she faced as a single mother, the late nights, the sweat and tears that had forged her into who she was today. How easily Jake dismissed a life that had unfolded in different circumstances dug deep into her chest. Emily's laughter faltered at Jake's remark, and Sarah seized the moment. "You can't just ignore struggle, Jake. Life is more than just hard work," she said, her voice rising slightly. "People fight battles you can't see." Tension crackled like electricity in the air. A defensive glimmer sparked in Jake's eyes, but he held his ground. If everyone just took responsibility for their actions. Responsibility? Sarah interjected, frustration tightening her throat. It felt vital, her instinct to defend Emily battling the realization that Jake wasn't all she had first imagined. Why was she so drawn to this young man, yet so equally repulsed? Before the table could drown in countless misunderstandings, Jake took a breath, vulnerability breaking through his tough exterior. "Listen, I get it. I've faced my own demons," he said, letting a hint of pain seep through. "I'm a veteran, addicted to the thrill of combat. I fell hard after returning. Saw family breaking around me, watched guilt eat me alive." His revelation washed over Sarah, unsettling her judgment. Here was a man, not just the entitled youth she had dismissed, but someone who had battled through shadows that mirrored her own struggles. As they locked eyes, something shifted. What had once seemed like casual arrogance evaporated, as he shared stories of redemption and resilience. Just then, the doorbell rang, the sound jolting Sarah from her chaotic thoughts. The table, once a bastion of warmth, became a battleground for her emotions. Could she reconcile this newfound understanding of Jake with the protective instincts screaming inside her? With every revelation, the question loomed larger. Could her heart make room for another story of struggle, another account almost akin to her own? Sarah caught a glimpse of Jake's hope, shining through that raw honesty, but could she trust him with Emily? As they sat in that midst of both kindness and tension, she felt the weight of the moment. A storm was brewing, leaving her wondering. When the dust settled, would she see family or fracture? The doorbell rang again, this time more insistent, almost like a pulse thumping through the room. Emily glanced at her mother, her brow furrowed. "Do you want me to get it, Mom?" she asked softly, her voice filled with concern, sensing the charged atmosphere. Sarah nodded, grateful for the distraction. As Emily stood to answer the door, Sarah's heart raced. She waged an internal battle, wrestling with the fresh realization that Jake's seemingly harsh demeanor was rooted in genuine pain. What had started as an ordinary family dinner had somehow transformed into a revealing ordeal, peeling back layers of hurt and shame that nobody had anticipated. In a moment, the door swung open, and the air quality changed as a new presence flooded into the room. It was Marlene, Sarah's longtime friend, and she carried with her an air of warmth that soothed the tension like a soft blanket. "Sorry I'm late. Traffic was a nightmare," she exclaimed, her bright smile lighting up the dimness that had settled over the dinner table. "Just in time for the lasagna." Emily beamed, relief washing over her face. Sarah stood to hug Marlene, inhaling her familiar scent of lavender and coffee. As conversation resumed, Marlene's infectious laughter danced through the room, temporarily easing the heaviness that loomed. But Sarah's mind was elsewhere, caught in the web of her emerging doubts and conflicting feelings about Jake. Moments before he had shared his vulnerability, she felt a flicker of empathy. Now that flicker had dimmed, overshadowed by her instinct to protect Emily from potential heartache. Jake, however, appeared unfazed by the interruption. Marlene turned to him. So Jake, tell me a little about yourself. Her genuine curiosity washed over him, as if she was a life jacket thrown in turbulent waters. Jake cleared his throat, tentatively looking around the table. Well, I served overseas, he started, before catching Sarah's expectant gaze. Came back to a world that felt different. Lost friends, lost myself for a while. His voice softened, revealing an honesty that stirred something deep within Sarah's chest. Marlene's expression shifted from casual interest to genuine concern. That sounds really tough, she said, leaning forward. It takes a lot of courage to talk about it. As he spoke, Sarah caught sight of Emily's face. Her daughter's features were a blend of admiration and worry. Emily wanted to defend Jake, but wasn't sure how to navigate her mother's doubts. It hit Sarah then that as much as she wanted to protect Emily, she also needed to let her make her own decisions. Love didn't mean perfection. It meant sharing the hard moments and standing firm through them. Feeling a spark of bravery, Sarah spoke up again. You know, Jake, life does have a way of pulling us into struggles we didn't choose. But it's how we deal with those struggles that defines us. Her tone was softer now, almost nurturing, as if she was trying to bridge the widening gap. He looked her in the eye, a flicker of respect crossing his face. You're right, Mrs. Hargrove. And it's people like you that show me there's still hope out there. Another layer of their facade crumbled. In that moment, Sarah realized she had a choice, to build a wall of mistrust or to open a door of possibility. Could Jake genuinely bring happiness to Emily's life? The dinner continued, a dance of emotions, but the questions still hovered like ghosts in the room. Just as the conversation started to settle into a comfortable rhythm, Emily asked, so Jake, what does your future look like? Jake's expression soberly turned from cheerful to contemplative. Sarah held her breath, knowing that whatever he said next could shift everything again. Honestly, I'm still figuring it out. Was this the moment they had all been waiting for, where honesty reigned, or would it spiral back into confusion? As Sarah's heart raced, she felt the storm of possibilities swirling anew. How much trust was she willing to extend? And what revelations would come next? Jake paused, his eyes drifting to the half-lit room, as if he were searching for the right words among the shadows hanging in the air. He seemed to wrestle with himself, weighing each thought like a precious stone before letting it slip into the conversation. The more the silence stretched, the more Sarah braced for a response that could either deepen their understanding or complicate the already tangled web of emotions. I guess Jake hesitated. I just want to find my footing again. You know? I used to have plans. Dreams. The shadows cast deeper lines on his face, revealing a vulnerability that was hard to ignore. But everything changed, people changed. And now it just feels like I'm piecing a puzzle where the images have faded. Marlene frowned softly. Lost dreams can feel heavy, can't they? Like carrying a backpack full of rocks. As Marlene spoke, Sarah glanced at Emily and noticed a flicker of determination in her daughter's eyes. Emily had a way of rallying, of reaching for the heart of the toughest moments. It filled Sarah with both pride and concern. How far would Emily go to support Jake? Especially if it meant risking her own heart. Jake, you're not alone in this, Emily said, her voice steady. We all want to get back to what we love. It's okay to take time figuring it out. You don't have to have all the answers now. Jake's eyes softened at her words. You really mean that? He asked, as if the very notion was foreign to him. Absolutely, Emily replied, her sincerity bouncing off the walls. You're brave for even talking about it. That essay step. Sarah could feel the air start to hum with a tentative sense of hope. Was it possible that Jake was not adrift but merely navigating through troubled waters? Suddenly it struck her. How easy it was to label him as unworthy based solely on his struggles. Perhaps he was seeking connection, not just sympathy, and there lay the potential for something more. But would trusting him come with a price? Marlene interrupted her thoughts. You know, I read something recently that said you don't have to be perfect to create a life you love. It's in the ups and downs that we find our strength. Jake's mouth twitched upward, a hint of a smile trying to break through layers of anxiety. That really helps. I guess sometimes you just need to hear it from someone, even if they're a stranger. Then you're officially part of this family now. Marlene cheered, trying to lighten the moment as she clinked her glass against his stubbornly. To new beginnings, huh? The warmth of the toast shimmered through the clutches of their lingering fears, releasing some of the tension that had taken root during dinner. But even as laughter mingled with the aroma of the lingering lasagna, Sarah felt the familiar tightness return. The question of the future loomed larger than ever. Her instincts prickled. Jake would need guidance, a steady presence. But was she ready to let go of her protective instincts? Just as she opened her mouth to voice her thoughts, the door burst open. The whirlwind of their neighbor, Mr. Thompson, filled the room. "I hope I'm not interrupting," he called, rushing in and holding a clump of mail like a lifeline. And there it was, a jolt of chaos amid their fragile moment of understanding. But isn't that life? Just as they started to breach new depths, something unpredictable pulls them back to surface tension. As Mr. Thompson looked around, waiting for an acknowledgement, Sarah exchanged glances with Jake. The moment felt heavy with unspoken possibilities. What was still hidden in the folds of their lives that remained to be unveiled? "Can we take back the toast?" Jake suddenly said, breaking the silence that had settled over them once more. "I think we need to reframe what we're actually toasting to." What was next for all of them? As those words hung between them, Sarah realized that this dinner was only the beginning of something much bigger. With Mr. Thompson's sudden arrival, the room's atmosphere shifted, crackling with a mix of tension and curiosity. Sarah caught the way Jake's shoulders tensed at the interruption, the vulnerability they'd just begun to explore hanging like a delicate thread. She patted the table, a soft gesture signaling that they'd hold their ground against this unexpected disruption. "Mr. Thompson," she smiled, "you've arrived just in time for the toast. We were just discussing new beginnings." Jake's brows lifted slightly, as if pondering how he felt about the neighbor's unceremonious entrance. "Yeah, we can always toast to that," he said, a notable, if tentative, cheerfulness creeping into his tone. "New beginnings, huh?" Mr. Thompson replied, his eyes twinkling with the energy of tales waiting to spill. "I remember when I thought I could start my dream of opening my own bakery. That lasted about 2 weeks. A chuckle erupted, breaking the fragile tension. Even Jake joined in, the sound of laughter feeling warm and inviting, soothing some of the doubts still swirling around. The moment wasn't lost. Sarah could see it had opened another door to connection. "Everything worth having starts off rocky," Marlene chimed in, her gaze meeting Jake's with a nod of affirmation. "It's all part of finding your footing." "Right," Jake agreed, his smile broadening. "Like dodging 100 hurdles before you even hit the first mile." For a fleeting moment, it felt as if the laughter could erase some of the weight in the room. "What's next for you, Jake?" Mr. Thompson prodded, his curiosity genuine. "Have you thought about what's on the horizon?" Jake shifted slightly, his expression growing serious again. Words hung in the air, clinging to the walls as he seemed to weigh the risks of sharing more. "Well, I guess I've been thinking a lot about what matters to me," he started slowly, glancing at Emily as if she might offer him strength from across the table. "Finding passion again, it feels like learning to walk again, only this time with the hope of running." A murmur of agreement rolled through the room, an acknowledgement that these conversations weren't just idle chatter, but rather an exploration into what it meant to dream amidst doubt. Emily leaned forward, her gaze penetrating, powerful. "What's holding you back?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper but filled with intensity. Jake's breath caught, and Sarah could almost see a wall rise up around him, built from fear and self-doubt. "I guess I've been scared to try again. The thought of failing again feels overwhelming." The shared solidarity in the room shifted deeper, each person feeling the echoes of their struggles ripple through the air. Sarah's heart twisted at Jake's admission. Could she find a way to help him? "You can't fail if you start right," Marlene soothed. "Every step is part of the journey." Jake nodded slowly, his eyes drifting towards the floor. "Maybe it's just about starting small." But he looked back up, an unfamiliar intensity in his gaze. "What if I stumble again?" "That's when you stand back up," Emily replied, steel in her voice, "and take another step." In that moment, a silent pact formed a new understanding. The challenges that lay ahead for Jake required courage, and moments like these were their stepping stones. What if they could walk together through the messiness of it all? But just as they started to feel the momentum building, Mr. Thompson cleared his throat again, his exuberance reigning in their newfound warmth. "Well, speaking of hurdles, I've got a couple of boxes for you outside. Thought I'd drop them off." "Boxes?" Sarah questioned, but curiosity bloomed in her chest. "Yeah," the male, he nodded, a grin spreading wide. "Thought they might brighten up an otherwise dreary day." As everyone chuckled again, Jake looked at Sarah, his eyes reflecting uncertainty. What would they find in those boxes? Could they hold something that sparked a change? "I guess new beginnings come in all shapes and sizes," he murmured, more to himself than anyone else, as he pushed back his chair, ready to venture into the unknown. Little did they know, unraveling the mystery hidden within those boxes might reveal more than they expected, truths that could reshape their lives forever. What surprises awaited outside, and how would they impact the fragile threads of connection they had just begun to weave? Jake opened the door, the unsettled feelings still swirling inside him, mingling with the fresh air. As he stepped outside, the warmth of the sun felt strangely grounding. The world wasn't waiting for him, but he was hoping to breathe new life into what lay ahead. Mr. Thompson stood beside two cardboard boxes, a sense of pride radiating from him. "Here you go," he said cheerfully, pushing the boxes forward. "One is from the craft store, the other from USPS. I thought you might appreciate a little distraction." Jake chuckled, glancing back toward the table. Sarah and the others watched with an eager curiosity. Somehow these boxes weren't just shipments, they represented the unknown, a chance to begin again, or at least to take a tentative step in that direction. He knelt down, fingers gently tracing the edges of the boxes, feeling their sturdiness beneath his touch. "What do you think is inside?" he asked loudly enough to invite the others closer. Emily stepped up beside him, excitement flickering in her eyes. "I hope it's not just junk," she teased, trying to lighten the mood again. Jake managed a grin. "Well, let us see what treasures await." With a quick flick of his wrist, he ripped open the flap of the first box. Inside lay a jumble of colorful art supplies, paints, brushes, and a stack of canvas pads. It was a small artist's starter kit, clearly intended for someone eager to create. "Wow," Sarah gasped, stepping closer to get a better look. "This is perfect for you." Jake remained quiet, heart pounding at the sudden swell of encouragement. This was his passion, one he'd tucked away under layers of doubt and fear. If the kit wasn't a reminder that new beginnings came in unexpected form, he didn't know what was. "Did you order this?" he asked, glancing at Sarah and Marlene, who exchanged glances. "No, but I think it's a sign," Marlene said, her voice resonating strong and clear. Every fiber in Jake's body buzzed with potential. He could almost hear the whispers of his old self, a time when he lost himself in art, unencumbered by what others might think. Could he really reclaim that? "Open the other one," Emily encouraged, her enthusiasm infectious. With a renewed sense of anticipation, Jake shifted to the second box. It felt heavier, the sound of shifting contents echoing as he nudged the flaps open. His breath caught as he uncovered a small framed photo, a family portrait from years back. A younger version of himself, arms wrapped around Sarah and Marlene, all smiles. The love and warmth radiated from the image. But nestled next to it was something else. A thick envelope. "What is this?" he muttered, pulling it out slowly, fingers trembling. "Whatever it is, I think it's important," Sarah chimed in, stepping closer, her eyes never leaving his expression. Jake tore open the flap with a mix of wonder and anxiety. As he unfolded the letter inside, the handwriting struck him as familiar, his mother's. She hadn't written in years. His heart sank. Did he really want to read this now? But he was consuming every word, the weight of his past clinging to him. "Jake?" Emily's voice broke into his reverie, worry lacing her tone. "What does it say?" He felt trapped between the desire to shut down the past and the hopeful urge to embrace this newfound chance. Would this letter reveal a truth he wasn't ready to face? "Well, it seems like you might be a little closer to finding out what's been holding you back," Mr. Thompson said, leaning in with a reassuring smile. As Jake's eyes moved across the page, he grasped tightly to the envelope, the silence around him thick. Could this moment be the real beginning, where hidden truths forced him to confront not only his fears but also the lessons of his past? Time slowed. His memories flashed before him, vivid and raw. In that instant, Jake realized these boxes might be holding more than he could ever imagine. Would he finally find the courage to face them? And as shadows danced around them, uncertainty lay thick in the air. What was he going to discover, and how would it change everything? Jake's heart raced as he read the letter, each word pulling him deeper into a tide of memories he thought he had long since buried. How could something so simple carry such gravity? He felt as if the ground beneath him could give way at any moment, and the faces around him blurred in and out of focus. "Jake, are you okay?" Sarah's gentle voice cut through the haze. Her warm hand rested on his shoulder, grounding him. He looked up, meeting her worried gaze, and felt a flicker of strength return. "Yeah," he breathed, but his voice trembled. It's a lot." He took a breath, and with a swift motion he turned the letter around, revealing the ink that felt like a lifeline whenever he lost sight of his past. The words echoed in his mind. "I wish I could have been there for you." The apology stung. He never expected to see it, but there it was, plain as day. "What does it say?" Emily leaned in, her curiosity mixing with concern. "It's from my mom," Jake murmured, unable to mask the quiver in his voice. She wants to explain things. To apologize." "Apologize?" Marlene echoed, brows knitting together. "For what?" He swallowed hard, the weight of 1,000 emotions threatening to spill. It was wrong to overshadow the hope that flickered in the afternoon sun with lingering hurt. When everything happened. When she left. The group fell silent. Each of them shared a look, understanding mingled with empathy, charging the air with unspoken thoughts. Jake could feel their solidarity, their willingness to be here for him in this delicate moment. "Do you want to read it?" Sarah offered, her voice barely above a whisper. He hesitated, glancing back at the letter's contents. "I think I have to," he admitted, feeling the resolve surging within him. Maybe this was the moment to uncover layers of healing, to piece together a puzzle he never intended to revisit. As he read aloud, the words washed over him like waves against the shore, sometimes crashing hard, sometimes gently caressing his wounds. He could see the quiver in his mother's letters. She spoke about heartbreak and the capacity to love. Above all, she expressed her promise to reconnect. The final line reminded him that the past didn't need to define the future. "Wow," Emily breathed when he finished, her eyes shining brightly. "That's powerful, Jake." "Yeah, it is," he said, letting the emotions sink in. A spark of hope ignited in his chest, a feeling he wasn't ready to dismiss. Mr. Thompson nodded, hands folding in front of him as a broad smile spread across his face. "You're already taking a step forward, my boy. Embracing this makes you stronger." Jake looked around at his friends, his heart swelling. He realized how precious their support was. The boxes and letters were more than mere items. They were bridges to the past and stepping stones toward the future. His journey ahead was unclear, but in this moment he had the motivation to forge his own path. "I think I want to paint," he blurted, exhilaration bubbling inside him. "Maybe create something that reflects how I'm feeling. Let us make it a group thing." Marlene suggested. "Art therapy, right? Count me in." Emily chimed eagerly, and soon, the three of them were animatedly discussing colors, canvases, and ideas. In that excitement, Jake felt a shift, a sense of belonging was tangible. But just as ideas began to flow, a shadow darted across Jake's thoughts, reminding him of unresolved emotions tied to his mother's letter. Just then, he felt the weight of the envelope still in his hand. Was there more to uncover? The path ahead felt bright, yet uncertainty clung tightly. "Jake?" Sarah's voice pierced the buzz around them. "Are you all right? You seem distant again." "I just need a minute," he replied, still holding the envelope close. What was really keeping him from fully embracing this moment? As he contemplated this, he felt the familiar tug of the past pulling him back. Would he ever completely sever those ties? As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting warm hues upon them, Jake was left wondering what awaited him in the search for his truth. Was he ready to confront it? And as night began to paint the sky, Jake realized that the real journey was just beginning. The paintbrush felt strange in Jake's hands, like a new instrument waiting for the right song. He dipped it into a palette of bright colors, the vibrant hues mirroring the turmoil swirling inside him. Each stroke he traced on the canvas seemed to pull him further away from the past, yet he felt a tether holding him back. The letter was still there, an echo of all the words he wished he could say to his mother. Around him, laughter and light chatter filled the air, a stark contrast to his tumultuous thoughts. Emily, Marlene, and Sarah buzzed with excitement, making suggestions about which colors to use. They were so animated, and he watched them as if from a distance. A part of him wanted to join in wholeheartedly, to lose himself in this moment and let the art flow. But every time he inhaled, he could taste the bitterness of unspoken truths lurking just beneath the surface. "What's bothering you, Jake?" Sarah asked, her voice soft yet piercing through the din of their creativity. She leaned closer, her warm presence inviting him back into the moment. "Just thinking about my mom," he admitted, the paintbrush halting mid-stroke. "About everything I thought was over. Have you considered talking to her?" Marlene suggested, her tone matter-of-fact yet filled with genuine concern. Jake shook his head. "I don't know how to approach it. What if I'm not ready?" The group fell silent for a heartbeat, letting his words sink in. Even in the absence of spoken replies, the weight of their support surrounded him like an invisible cocoon. Jake took a steadying breath, feeling the heaviness in his chest lighten slightly. "Maybe she's waiting for you too," Emily interjected softly. "You don't know how much strength it takes just to reach out." "Yeah, I guess," he nodded thoughtfully. He returned to the canvas, but the colors began to blur together as his thoughts drifted back to the letter. The words she had chosen felt like seeds ready to take root, and yet the fear of what that growth might bring held him fast. Would she even want to reconnect after all this time? With sudden resolve, Jake picked up the brush again, dipping it into a bold crimson. The color screamed of pain and hope intertwined. He let the brush dance across the canvas, splattering new shades, expressing what lay buried. But the act of creation became more than just paint on canvas. It was an exploration of emotions he couldn't articulate. As he painted, his hands moved almost as if they had a mind of their own, each stroke becoming cathartic. The colors embraced the chaos inside him, spilling over and blurring the lines of reality. Suddenly, a loud crash startled him. He turned his head to see Emily had bumped into the table, an array of paint tubes teetering on the edge. "Oops," she laughed, brushing off her colorful fingers as everyone erupted into giggles that filled the air with warmth. Jake couldn't help but chuckle too. It was a reminder of the joy in the chaos of life, a moment of levity that broke through the heaviness. As the laughter subsided, he looked back at his canvas, surprised at what had emerged. It wasn't just a painting. It was a reflection of his journey, a blend of his past and the hope of what could be. In that moment he realized that confronting his feelings was the only way to move forward. Maybe reaching out could start with a letter, Jake mused aloud, looking to his friends for support. "Yeah," Marlene responded instantly. "You can take your time with it. No rush." Jake nodded, feeling a flicker of bravery igniting within him. Maybe this was what he needed, an opportunity to forge a new connection, to reach for something he thought was lost forever. But still, a part of him hesitated, the faint whisper of doubt lingering. Could he truly face her? Would it change everything or perhaps break something more? As the evening deepened and stars began to twinkle outside, Jake's thoughts spiraled again, caught between courage and fear. Little did he know, the words waiting to come were just the beginning of his transformation. He took a deep breath, staring at the painted canvas still wet and vibrant in the dim light. A question loomed in his mind: was he ready to send that letter when the time came? The moment of truth felt just around the corner, and the night continued to beckon him with promises of discovery. Jake sat back, his canvas glistening with red, blue, and yellow swirls that seemed to pulse under the soft light. The laughter from his friends felt like a distant echo as he let his mind wander further into the past. He remembered the last time he saw his mother, her face a blend of regret and sorrow, a moment frozen in time. Did she think about him as often as he thought about her? Earth to Jake. Emily's voice broke through his thoughts. He looked up to see her waving a brush, splattered with green paint, a playful grin lighting up her face. It was infectious, and he couldn't help but smile back. What's the masterpiece hiding behind that serious face? She teased, nudging him. Just working on my emotional landscape, he replied, his heart racing slightly. Can't wait to see it. Your emotional landscapes usually have flying elephants or something. Marlene chimed in, leaving Jake in disbelief that she could always lighten the mood no matter how heavy it felt. He chuckled. grateful for their carefree spirits, a welcome distraction from the knot in his stomach. But underneath the humor, he knew the evening was slowly slipping through his fingers, and the crucial decision awaited him. With each passing moment, Jake thought about the letter he'd yet to write. How do you start a conversation after years of silence? What if his attempts at reaching out only opened old wounds instead of healing them? "Penny for your thoughts," Sarah said, her tone gentle as she placed a cool hand on his shoulder. It was her way of grounding him, reminding him he wasn't alone in this. "I want to reach out," Jake admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "But what if I can't find the right words? What if she doesn't want to hear them?" Silence filled the room as the weight of his vulnerability settled upon them. His friends exchanged glances, understanding the gravity of what he shared. "You just need to be real," Emily finally said, her eyes shining with a mix of encouragement and empathy. "No one needs perfect words. Just tell her how you feel. Unfiltered." "Right," Jake mused, his mind racing. He thought of the crimson-covered canvas. "It's like painting. I don't overthink the brush strokes. I just go with it. That's the spirit." Marlene cheered, lifting her brush in a mock toast. Jake smiled, sensing the support enveloping him like a warm blanket. A moment of peace washed over him. Maybe all he needed was a little nudge, a little faith in what he was stirring inside. With renewed energy, he picked up the brush once more, layering bright yellows over the darker hues. Each stroke felt liberating, like he was unearthing a part of himself that had long been buried. He was not merely creating an image, he was preparing his heart for the leap forward. Suddenly, his phone buzzed on the table, breaking his trance. He glanced at the screen and felt a bolt of nervous anticipation, a message from his mother. Jake's heart raced. What could she want? Did she sense that he had been thinking of her? "Jake?" Sarah's voice broke into his thoughts, urging him back from the brink of reverie. "What's going on?" He held up the phone, his pulse quickening. "It's my mom." She texted. The room grew quiet, a palpable tension wrapping around them. Jake hesitated, staring at the screen, uncertainty pooling in his chest. Suddenly, an unexpected wave of clarity washed over him. How he responded to her could change everything. But was it the right time? What if this was the push he needed, or was it a door best left unopened for now? As his thumb hovered over the screen, Jake felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. He needed to choose wisely, and the air filled with tension as he prepared to dive into the unknown. Could he truly face whatever came next? Could this be the very moment he'd been waiting for? The question loomed heavily, and with it, the night flickered with endless possibilities. Jake took a deep breath, the screen glowing bright against his nervous face. His thumb hovered above the keyboard, indecision raging within him. He could sense the shifting atmosphere in the small room, his friends leaning in, eager for something to unfold. "Should I just open it?" he finally asked, still caught between fear and hope. "Just read it," Emily encouraged, her voice steady and reassuring. "Yeah, we're here for you," Sarah added, nodding for support. Jake swallowed hard and opened the message. A single line blinked back at him. "Hey Jake, it's been a long time. Can we talk?" His heart soared and sank at once. Simple, yet it felt monumental. He could almost picture his mother on the other end, perhaps hesitating too, unsure of how to phrase her thoughts. "Wow," Marlene said softly, solidarity in her tone. "Wow indeed," Jake echoed, the weight of her words sinking in. For years, all he had wanted was this very connection, and now that it was here, he felt a mix of elation and fear. "What do you want to say?" Sarah asked, her eyes soft, understanding the storm he was navigating. "I don't know yet," Jake replied, feeling lost. "It feels like the floodgates have opened and I have all this stuff to say." "Hey, that's good," Emily chimed in. "You can take it one message at a time. No rush. Just be honest. Remember, like painting." Nodding, Jake grabbed his phone again. He began to type, thoughts tumbling out. "Hi Mom. I've missed you. I think it's time to talk about everything." He hesitated, holding his breath. Would she respond warmly? Would it lead to more questions? "Press send," Marlene urged, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. In that moment it felt like the air thickened, the silence wrapping around them. He pressed the button. The sound felt final, liberating, like pressing the pedal on a long-held secret. The group held their breath. Time slowed as the minutes started to slip away, each tick louder than the last. Jake's heart raced with anticipation, a mixture of fear and excitement flooding every inch of him. Finally, his phone buzzed. Jake's stomach flipped when he saw her name appear. "Okay, I'm answering." His voice trembled. "Just breathe," Emily said, reaching for his hand. "Whatever happens, you're not alone. We've got your back." Jake opened the message, his hands shaking slightly. "I miss you too, Jake. I think of you often. Can we meet tomorrow?" A rush of emotion surged through him, a mix of joy and apprehension. They were both reaching out, each a thread pulling closer together. Yet he knew that tomorrow wasn't just a simple meeting. This was the first step into uncharted waters, navigating a long absence, the hurt, the unresolved feelings. "Wow," Marlene breathed, breaking the silence as if she too felt the weight of that reunion looming ahead. Jake's excitement was tempered by a wave of uncertainty. What would they say? What had changed over the years? He felt a million questions crowding his mind, each battling for attention as the chatter around him began to revive. Jake's gaze drifted back to his canvas, the swirls of color seeming more alive now than they had moments ago. Art had always been his escape, allowing him to express what was hard to say in words. What if his meeting with his mother could lead to a new masterpiece, one fueled by truth, honesty, and healing? "I think I need to paint again," he said, turning to his friends, seeking their encouragement. "What's the plan?" Sarah asked, excited curiosity dancing in her voice. "I need to prepare for tomorrow," Jake replied. Uncertainty still flickered in his chest, yet now it felt more like the thrill before a roller coaster ride. The canvas awaited him, a blank space begging for whatever emotions tomorrow would bring. "Let us do it then," Marlene exclaimed, even as she set her palette out to work alongside him, the others rallying behind her idea. With brushes in hand they began to create, the air thick with newfound anticipation and promise. But what color would symbolize his long-awaited reunion? The thought loomed as each stroke transformed the canvas, shifting Jake's mind from fear to a sense of empowerment. What if tomorrow held more than he could ever imagine? Would he finally understand the echo of regret that lingered all these years? As shadows fell over the colors on his canvas, Jake felt a storm building within him, ready to meet whatever revelations awaited. The sun spilled through the window, painting the room in shades of warmth and hope. Jake stood in front of his canvas, the colors swirling like the emotions flooding his heart. Today was the day he would meet his mother, the day full of what-ifs and long-awaited possibilities. Emily, Sarah, and Marlene buzzed with an energy that filled the air with light. They were all around him, each occupying their own space on the canvas of life, an intricate dance of friends ready to support him. "You've got this," Emily said softly, her eyes gleaming with encouragement. Jake picked up his brush, staring at the bold colors that now reflected every ounce of courage he had mustered. "This is for you," he whispered to the canvas, as if it could hear him. Each stroke became a chant of readiness, a declaration of his commitment to embrace the past and whatever came next. That familiar knot of anxiety danced in his stomach as he prepared to face the unknown. But he wasn't alone. They were his pillars of strength. Marlene moved next to him, laughter spilling from her lips as she playfully teased about his serious artistic approach. It broke the tension, allowing a rush of camaraderie to encircle them as Jake painted. He felt the weight of his worries starting to melt away. He put a splash of turquoise onto the canvas, representing healing, a new hue for new beginnings. "What are you thinking about your mom?" Sarah asked, her tone gentle yet probing. He paused, brush hovering above the canvas like his thoughts. "I guess I'm thinking about how much I've missed her. How much we've both changed." "You'll find your voice," she assured him, her hand squeezing his shoulder like a lifeline. "Just be true to yourself. Let the words flow just like the paint." It was reassuring to hear, and he nodded, cultivating that spark of hope. Laughter filled the room as colors mixed, brush strokes infused with emotion, a mixture of joy and fear all rolled into one. Every chuckle reminded him that laughter belongs in the realm of healing. Speaking of flow, Emily piped up, a charming smile dancing across her face. "Maybe we should help you get more inspired. Let us take a quick walk about the area." The idea shimmered in the air, and without a second thought, they all nodded. Arriving outside, Jake was greeted by the vivid palette of nature. The green grass and brilliant blues of the sky ignited a fire in his heart. The world didn't seem so daunting anymore. Every step he took felt lighter, taking him toward something greater. As they strolled, Marlene shared her own story of reconnection, opening up about her rocky relationship with her own mother, yet how they slowly pieced it back together over time. She recounted moments of laughter, the little victories that led them back to a place of acceptance. Inspirations flowed like the gentle breeze embracing them, wrapping around Jake as he took every word to heart. Each step became a reminder that healing is a process, a journey they all shared, one that filled him with a profound sense of camaraderie. Before long, they stood in front of an art exhibit showcasing local artists. Vibrant strokes and heartfelt pieces adorned the walls, each one telling a story, much like his own journey. The colors, the emotions, they moved through him, resonating deep within. As they wandered through, Jake paused in front of a piece showcasing two intertwined trees, their roots winding around each other. "This one speaks to me," he said, feeling the connection between resilience and growth. "It's about finding strength in each other." He turned to his friends, watching their expressions shift to thoughtful understanding. "Maybe that's what my mom and I need, a starting point. The strength to intertwine our stories once again." "Exactly," Emily encouraged, her voice almost a whisper. "You're acknowledging the roots and branches, the hurt and hope. It's all part of what binds us together." Those words resonated like a drum in his heart. Jake felt it, this moment held heavy with significance. Resolving to reach out wasn't just about reconnecting, it was about embracing the complexities of relationships, about grounding oneself in understanding and love. With a fervor he hadn't felt in ages, he took out his phone and opened a blank message. This time he didn't hesitate. He typed a few lines, his emotions pouring into every word, every truth. "I'm ready to talk, let us meet at the cafe this weekend." He hit send, the finality sending a strange calm over him. It wasn't just about seeing his mother, it was about stepping into his own life, the path of healing, of rebuilding what was lost. "I did it," he exclaimed, the thrill pulsing through him. His friends erupted in cheers, surrounding him with warmth and joy. In that moment he saw their faces not just as friends, but as a family forged through shared experiences, determined to weather the storms together. "Now the real adventure begins," Sarah said, her smile brightening the space around them. The laughter mixed with promise, tattoos of joy etched in his memories forever. As they strolled back toward home, Jake felt lighter, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. He was stepping into the light, guided by love and an unwavering belief that connections could be reborn. This was the moment he realized. Family didn't have to perpetuate expectation. It could offer transformation, acceptance, and new beginnings. Each brush stroke of color held the hope of the past, blended harmoniously with the promise of tomorrow. And as he walked, he knew this journey would be more than mere survival. It was about living, about thriving, and he was more than ready to take each step forward. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support, like now to feed the algorithm. Comment below your reactions and feelings about the ending, it's vital. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share.